Good afternoon, Mr. Hai, Vice Chairman of the Hanoi People's Committee, fellow government officials from Vietnam, my fellow distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Smart cities is my profession. I've worked on smart cities for more than 10 years. And I left IBM because of that. So allow me to share with you what I feel are global trends and case studies related to what we call people-centric smart cities. I will have 3 areas, and for those of you who are familiar with the ASEAN Smart Cities Framework, you can see similarities. Smart cities with its strategic outcomes enabled by both technology and funding and partnership. So I will not emphasize a lot on technology. There's too much of it now. There's overwhelming information about technology. So let me start with what is a trend worldwide in terms of smart cities and a few case studies. And these are not case studies that you can really Google or do a ChatGPT kind of a prompt to find that. These are studies that I'm involved. First, good news for smart cities development worldwide. There's now a development of people-centric smart cities guidelines globally. And that guideline will be spearheaded by the UN Habitat headquartered in Nairobi, which is the same headquarters for UN Environment Program, that relates to the development of people-centric smart cities. And that guideline will be available in 2 years. Right now, they have called a tender for people to do an assessment of smart cities globally. So that's the first trend. It's going to happen, and the global guidelines will happen in 2 years. We're not going to wait for it. Because last month, I was in Turkey, in Istanbul, as an implementation partner of this thing called the Cities Investment Facility. And I had the privilege and the pleasure of meeting with the executive leadership of UN Habitat, and they have agreed that the focus for smart cities is about sustainable financing. So it's the financing of sustainable urban future. See, this thing is blocking me. All right. So what is it? What is this about? First, an understanding that there are trillions of dollars worldwide. And what's lacking in the cities is that the cities are not well prepared with what we call investment-ready projects. Investment-ready means it should involve other parties, the private sector in particular. And for those of us who study business and management will know the money lies in the capital markets, trillions of dollars, not the government. And I worked in smart cities for several years, especially in the last 5 years with the ASEAN Smart Cities Network. Every time we go to a country outside of Singapore, and maybe except Sarawak, they have money. The rest of the country have no money. The government always asks, you got funding, right? So now, what we want to do is that there's now a trend, and I spent the last 1 year since we signed an MOU with UN Habitat to really seriously look at how would you define a bankable projects. So last month I was in Kok-Chin, And I had 3 sessions, a masterclass and 2 panel sessions. My focus was innovation hub and bankable projects. So let's look at the world. And I have to say that ASEAN, in my opinion, is among the leaders as a region related to smart city. So first, you may know last month, ASEAN, represented by the President of Indonesia, signed or declared in a summit with the Gulf Cooperation Council. That was on the 20th of October. And it says in point 25, to explore cooperation with a city-to-city partnership among the cities in ASEAN and the smart cities in the Gulf member states. And from the discussion that I had with the folks from Istanbul, and was linked up to Ghana, Kenya, and I recommended Rwanda, Kigali in special. You may not know, Ghana is the #1 country in terms of the alignment to the UN SDG in Africa. They're #1. So there's now a request for me to assist them with sister cities concept. That means we want to look at how regions can work together. So the next global trend is the development of regions, and I am heartened. My friend Son from FPT talked about that, right? It's spot on. It's spot on. So, and what's happening is that last week, I listened to OECD, as you know, it's European centered. Italians are having a smart region approach to the SDG. It's incredible. The Northern Europeans had traditionally been pioneers in the area of smart cities and sustainable cities. But the Italians are coming forward. But for us, of course, it's been 5 years already. The ASEAN Smart Cities Network objectives are cooperation among cities, explore bankable projects, and that's an area that I will talk more later, and the support of external partners. The Japanese in particular has helped a lot of the countries in Indochina, right? In ASEAN in particular. So I have had the opportunity to be a consultant for UN SCAP, the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, and I was invited to assist Cambodian ministries, 10 ministries, to assist 4 cities, Phnom Penh, Siem Reap, Battambang, and Sihanoukville. So we did a workshop, and the outcome from the workshop was a report on national guideline. It's only a guideline for the simple reason is that most countries who have been on smart cities and cities in general have their own local guideline. You have to localize smart city roadmap to the city needs. So smart city roadmap has to be localized. So now let me go to the second part, and I won't cover much of that because you have too much of it in this conference and over the last few years. So let me sort of step back and say, what is the global trend? And maybe I should ask you the question, what is the latest game-changer technology platform in the world today? I'm sure you know the answer. So you look at the report by Kok-Chin, right? We have 3 waves, large wave, game-changing wave. Internet, with a web browser, smartphones, we all use that. AI, we are on day 1 of AI, generative AI, right? Day 1. So, like it or not, any city that really wants to move and progress, you've got to consider that. The statistics are telling, right? So AI has the potential to drive the economy for years to come, at least for the next 15 to 20 years. The chart shows the number of employees per 1 million of revenue, that means productivity, right? 3 employees thereabouts to generate 1, that means it's highly productive. So now our focus is how do you use AI, and I will check with the gentleman there, he's doing it for his city in Indonesia. You heard Pak Yudis from Jakarta talks about the potential of AI. It's going to come. And a competitive economy, a people-centric city, an operationally efficient, and this is more related to the government sector, right? You've got to be operationally efficient and environmental sustainable, and our focus next year, next 2 years to 7 years is an AI-enabled, people-centric smart cities. Let me step back. Last year I presented online in a conference like this. Let me step back to say, 3 years ago, right? There's a survey of 167 cities, and it's happening now. So I saw a lot of the pictures, 167 cities, a survey done by Philadelphia-based think tank. I'm part of their global advisory. And the trends will tell you what should you focus. So the survey done, and it says today countries, cities, corporations focus on this current technology, cloud, a bit of IoT, AI, so on and so forth. But the next 3 years, that was then, digital twin as the highest growth. And with the digital twin, by the way, digital twin has to be looked at from a command center or an integrated operation center. So you have related to that augmented reality, and that's why Facebook was renamed Meta. The convergence of physical, digital, and the biological space. That's the metasphere, right? The metaverse. But I think what's understated is that AI, because of last year, with ChatGPT, it will explode. It will explode. So I won't go into the details. A digital twin, as I said, is the convergence of the 3 spheres: the digital, physical, and the biological. That's why you got the biometrics, and you look at data. And what will happen now is that with additional content and data, I heard a lot of people talk about data. You need to collect data. That's part of it, no question. But content, AI relies on content. Now I do my Zoom call, I activate the AI companion and a meeting summary. Within 5 minutes, I have a complete summary of a 1-hour call, AI generated. That's very efficient. So in this part of the world, I'm looking at these cities. And these cities whom I will work with and reaching out in the next 7 years. Hanoi is among the cities in the ASEAN Smart Cities Network, and I've extended an invite. Proposed cities in other parts of ASEAN, in particular for smart tourism, ecotourism, and cities in the Philippines. So, technology-enabled smart regions and cities related to bankable projects. And there was a mention about 4P. Now people say 3Ps, 4Ps. Last month, UN Habitat says 5P. We include public, private, people, philanthropic partnership. In 2010, IBM Foundation invested 50 million philanthropic money to do smart cities. In 2012, I managed a Singapore project, $500,000 investment, left pocket to right pocket. It's philanthropic money. So it's now happening. It's now happening, and I think we can capture that. So just to give you a flavor of what we did in the Philippines. I'm on a journey, and Dr. Nun was with me in Kawayan City, right? So we launched a national launch of the cities in the Philippines. So now from that, session in March, I'm now into 2 other regions, Region 10, Region 4A, and Region 8 is the existing cities in the UN Habitat. So let me start with what are we doing, right? So first, to help a city, you have to help them seriously. They want a global award. We go global award, which is Korean. So we got money to address disaster, 90 over 1,000. We did a digital twin in 2020. It also won the AWS City on the Cloud. When you have groundbreaking thought leadership ideas, people will take note. So that's all I'm going to say about that city. And now I'm helping illegal. Why? Because the mayor asked for help. The mayor, after that event in Manila, after the Kawayan city, said, please help me. So I went. I went there, I signed an MOU with the university, and we have this partnership to bring them on board the city investment facility. And what is missing in a lot of programs and city projects is a lack of ability to train people to be on board smart cities. Training is a gap in a lot of smart cities. So what we do is to say, let's focus on what we want to achieve, the strategic outcomes, and then what's missing as well is the urban planning. And I'm quite heartened to hear some of the examples in Vietnam. You do planning, master planning, urban planning. You have to have that. So there are different areas you can look at the pillars, and of course AI enabled. And I'll show you just a few examples of AI enabled command center. Right. So I visited Iligan, and they have, like, I'm sure your cities have this too. I visited Phnom Penh. They have the same thing: adaptive traffic signal and all this video analytics, and analyze and change the traffic based on congestion, so on and so forth. So we will introduce an AI-enabled AI chatbot to provide the citizens to feedback like what the Indonesians have done, right? So that's, yeah. So it's like-minded people will know that that's a trend, because to be, and I can say politically it's the right thing to do because it will help you to get re-elected. So that's, and I went to the city disaster command center in Iligan and also Santa Rosa. So they have a GIS map, right? So GIS, in my opinion, is underutilized in a lot of smart city projects, because you can put in intelligence to know situation awareness. So we did that, and of course, right now the plan is to get them on board the Sustainable Development Goals, all of this, and we will put KPIs on each of these SDG. So I come to the last part, perhaps the most important. Where the heck is the money, right? So what's the trend? So the trend is sustainability. It's a buzzword now, right? So the buzzword is, where's the money? So the money is in bankable projects, the public, private, people, philanthropic partnership, right? So the city investment facility, which I'm learning over the last 1 year, and is to provide feasibility funding for pre-feasibility and feasibility. So it's supported by us. I show you 3 examples, and I be happy to share those examples with you all. There's a catalog of it. And so Kisumu asked for $200 million. That's a lot of money in Kenya. And then the example for tourism in Mexico, and they have the proposal being written. And the first priority and prerequisite is that the city leadership must support. That's why if I go to any city, they say they're interested I asked, can I talk to the mayor? You establish a task force, and then we look for money. So the example in Mexico is that you got to draft the proposal, right? You got to write the scope. So interested city has to write it and the objective, and they're asking for 80 million. So aligned to the UNSDG, and I can see that cities are aligning that. But you have to prepare. The cycle is over 3 years. So, for example, right, Sian at the workshop that I did in April, he has willingly come on board. And the model that we're going to do, and that's why I would like to invite Danan to join this group of ASEAN cities, right? So they have a smart city action plan. You have been involved with the ASEAN smart cities, you have an action plan. So what do you do? Well, you get support from JICA and you get develop the ecosystem, and what you need to do is align this to the CIF. So the process to get that is a journey, and this for the next 6 months, and we will provide guidance, and subsequently the criteria is that you have to have an urban plan, and then looking at the 50 million is then a journey we got to go together. And the pipeline is new. There's tremendous potential. So I will sort of explain how I do it with the university in Cambodia. I'm the professor, visiting professor for smart city. So I get my students to come on board, and the Siam Vice Governor has agreed to accept them as intern, and then we will guide them along. So with that kind of commitment, it's easier to write a proposal, do a proof of concept with funding, and ultimately you scale as a rollout. It's an ABC approach: awareness, building capabilities, and commitment. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that sums up my 3 areas of focus. And the most important is I look forward to support your cities in Vietnam to work with us, and as a region, we level up to attract billions of dollars into the region. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.